We've got to take our children where God has placed them. The things that naturally occur to them, we need to build them up. And you want to know what I did when he was 11? I took him to the New York City car show. Boy, it was the best time of his life. And then you know where we went? We went down to California, and he was working with me, and we rented a Jaguar convertible, and we drove up the coast, and boy, he was 15, he was like loving it. And then at a conference, after a conference just like this guy comes up to me, and he says, here's my card. He says, on Monday morning, you're going to want to call me. Yeah? Like, for what? He goes, just call me. He says, it'll change your son's life. I'm thinking like, this is a weirdo, you know. Some of you people come up to me and do stuff like that. I don't keep your cards, you know. So. And so here we are. You know, it's Monday, and we're going to leave on Tuesday, and there's that card. And I thought, what does it hurt just to call, you know? So I called, and a secretary answers, and she said, Mr. Hamby, we've been waiting for your call. Can you be here at 1 o'clock today? I said, well, can you tell me who this is and where we're going? And she says, I'm sorry, we're unable to give that information out. So what is this? You know, so I thought, let's just go check out the address, you know. And so we had to drive all the way up to this place called, is it Miracle Mountain or something like that? It's in California, up in north central California. We drive up there and we find the address. There's this black glass building with no name on it, no nothing, okay? With all of these brand new cars in the parking lot, okay? Just black glass, you can't see inside. And I'm thinking like, I look at David and he goes, you want to go in? He said, no, I don't think so. I think they're going to kill us, you know? So we finally get up enough nerve, and I go in, I'm going to check it out first, and the glass doors open up, and I walk in, and here's this marble floor, marble walls, with this glass panel for where the secretary is. We can see right through it. And she's sitting there, and she said, Mr. Hamby, we've been waiting for you. Please go to the second floor. And I said, well, can you just tell us what this... And there was no papers around, no nothing. Sterile, just totally sterile. You know, I'm thinking who are we going to go see on the second floor? And he says, sir, that is privileged information. Just go to the second floor. And I'm thinking what is this? You know, and so David's looking at me. You know, David's got his baseball hat on backwards, you know, and here we are. And I'm saying, okay, let's go for it. So we go into the elevator. And we go in, press the button, and we go up to the second floor, and the elevator opens up. We're standing like this, and the elevator opens up behind us. So we both kind of went like, and it opens up into a room this size, with one desk back there and a guy sitting in the middle of the room. And I felt like I was in the Wizard of Oz, you know, it's like... And the guy's just working at his desk, not even looking up at us. And so there we are. We just kind of walk up to him. And behind his desk, there is a 20-foot photograph of the Ford Mustang that had not yet been invented. And David looks and goes, where did you get that? Right out loud. You know, and this guy looks up and says, I designed it. He goes, that's not even out yet. He goes, I've heard about that. He goes, but you designed that? He goes, I design all of Ford's vehicles. He goes, come inside and let me show you what I do. And for the next 3 hours, he talked to my son David about what makes a great car designer. And this is what he said. He said, have a great family, work with persevering attitude, and he said, and have strong character so that you are an honest person. And I'm just sitting there going like, wow, I've been trying to teach him this stuff for 15 years. You know, all of that to say this, we've got to follow the bent of our children and bless them where they are, not where we want them to be. Who would have ever thought that my son would follow this life of design? And today, he's one of the best. Another word that we got to understand is grace and favor. The word blessing occurs 42 times. I have not counted all the times that grace appears in this passage of Scripture. Chen, unconditional forgiveness, acceptance, approval. In Genesis 31 through 33, what we have, if you can see this, there's Jacob sacrifices a sacrifice, but at the end here, Jacob sets up an altar. This word altar is mitzvah. It's the same word as sacrifice. Okay? So you've got these paralleled framing devices. Sacrifice, sacrifice, return, return, camp, camp, seer, seer, favor, and you're in the very center of this beautiful, imagine they wrote from both ends inward. Beautiful design. Only God could write this way. In the center, you've got this word, favor. What Jacob is looking for in his life is unconditional acceptance. It's what we're all looking for. It's what our children are looking for, but seldom find it. The children struggle inside Rebekah's womb, so she went and inquired of the Lord. The most important thing that we can do in the initial stages of conflict, and one thing that we rarely do, is pray. Do not pray in your mind. Pray with your lips. Speak to God and let Him know what you need and how you feel. I've spent many times out in the woods screaming out to God and saying, I can't deal with this anymore. You have to help me. I don't think I can do this another day. And He has never answered that prayer. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm not going to read any of it, actually. And the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau. It's kind of weird. Why would God give us this information? If all Scripture is given by the inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for instruction, for reproof, instruction in righteousness, that a man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works, then why in the world does God include that he's red and hairy? The word red in Hebrew is the word for Adam. You see, when Esau was born, he represented an earthly person, a person that is given to earthliness, materialistic things, wanting it here and now, today. He's unwilling to defer gratification. He's unwilling to endure difficulty. He wants it now. And the reason I can say that of this Adam, is because remember what happens a little bit later in his life? Remember, he's willing to sacrifice the what? The birthright in order to just get some stew. Afterwards, his brother comes out. And I got to picture this. You know, I don't know why they let us men in the birthing rooms, but when my son was born, the doctor went to hand him to me, and I looked at him, and he had this like big snow cone growing out of his head, and he's like grizzly and purple and hairy, and the doctor went to hand him and said, I'm not touching him. You know? And then I looked at my wife and I said, he looks just like your father, you know. So anyways, this is a weird one. Can you imagine? Here these boys are, and they're in the womb. She's got twins, and the Esau comes out, and there you've got Jacob, you know, holding onto his heel. Can you imagine what this must have looked like to the midwife? You know, she's kind of like, let go of him, you know, and he's trying to pull his brother back in, you know, just again. All Scripture is profitable. What on earth can we get out of this? So we call his name Yaakov, Jacob. The word Jacob means palm of hand. Okay? So what's happening here in action, God is also teaching us theology and information. It's holding on to the heel, which is a curved part of his heel. Jacob is holding on to the palm of his hand, the curved part of his hand, grasping. Literally, the word Yaakov, Jacob, means grasper, holding on. Esau is willing to give up anything for the future in order to gain it now. He's a materialistic, earthly person. He's an Adam. But Jacob is the person that's always holding on to things that are not rightfully his. He's the grasper. Jacob and Esau represent all of humanity. In this room, you are either a Jacob or an Esau. Now, some of you are schizophrenic and have a little bit of both of you. But I am a Jacob 100%. I have no Esau blood in me whatsoever. I am a grasper. I'm always holding on, 3 steps ahead of God. Always trying to figure things out, scheming, planning, trying to control and dominate and manipulate. I'm a Jacob through and through.